Other interesting cultural news, you have a teacher saying it's okay to be racist against white people. Which, this is reason number 9,958,421 to not send your child to public school. Because again, not all teachers are like this, but a lot of them are on Libs of TikTok, and a lot of them seem to be morally and mentally vacuous and just indoctrinating them into horrifying things, both sexually and politically. Now, this was brought to us, let me see here, thanks to Libs of TikTok. Let's see here. And Libs of TikTok says, quote, teacher goes on unhinged rant against white people, saying it's justifiable and reasonable to be racist towards white people. And spoiler alert, it's a white guy. Oh, on top of being mentally vacuous, he's also fashionably vacuous. He's wearing some type of button-up sweater. Disgusting. And a ball. The whole outfit is just terrible, to say the least. And it looks like his vehicle is nothing to be proud of either. I can't even make out the headrest. But as we all know, the best of men always suit up, as all men should. He's wearing a, what is that, like a cardigan? Yeah, let's just say, he looks exactly how you'd think. The only surprise is that his hair is not neon colored. Now, without further ado, I usually say their voices are infinitely better than mine. In this case, there might be a fine line. Let's see here. Huh? Where's his voice at?
You wrote, so if someone that isn't white hates on a white person based on their skin color, what do you call that? You're not going to like my answer. I call it justifiable.
Wrong. It's called evil. You should never treat anyone differently based on the color of their skin. You treat them by how their actions are.
White-bodied people have conquered and colonized almost this entire planet.
Well, I was going to say, and given pretty much every invention he uses on a daily basis.
History teacher, I teach my students about the scramble for Africa, in which all of these European countries came together to decide which parts of Africa they were going to colonize. And then about the age of exploration, in which Europeans sailed over to the Western Hemisphere and committed genocide against any and every indigenous population they came across. And then
that's called conquering land. That's what every race has done since the dawn of time. Believe it or not, even though we live in an extremely violent world today, is moderately civilized in terms of land allocation, and actually you see it less today in terms of taking other people's land in exchange for their lives, basically. Back in the day, it was pretty much everyone did. Oh no, he froze.
Teach about the transatlantic slave trade, and then slavery, and then Jim Crow, and then the war on drugs, and then mass incarceration, and then about people that deny the experience of black, brown, indigenous.
Oddly enough, he's not saying about things like, oh yeah, what country was one of the first countries on the planet to end the slave trade? What was one of the first countries to give them equal rights? What was the first countries to give women the ability to vote? Oh yeah, old white guys. I digress. Oh, come on, his terrible voice.
Of black, brown, indigenous, and other people of color to this day. So you ask me what I call a person that hates on a white person because they're white? I call them a reasonable human being who's just making decisions based on reason and experience.
He is as wise as he is beautiful. Surely that metaphor stands here. Imagine that piece of shit is in your classroom. Pardon the French, but you should never teach children to treat anyone differently, again, based on things they cannot control, like the color of the skin. That's disgusting. Now, I suspect most of the comments will be in my favor. Perhaps there'll be one or two leftists who disagree. That'll make the comments a little more interesting. Let's dive in. And again, this is what Viral as a Youth might say. 1.2 million views and 12,000 likes. One of the first comments comes from Paul Zazupa saying, quote, this history teacher is a ignorant racist who should be fired. If he knew his history, he'd know that white people have been slaves too. Even if they weren't, it would still be wrong to be racist against white people. You shouldn't punish children for crimes of their parents. Unquote. Getting 2.6 thousand likes. Dolly says, quote, nah, it's racism. And it's a picture of a white gal with blonde hair. It looks like everyone around her is from maybe India, and they're worshiping her. And it says how white leftists see themselves after complaining about white people online, getting 1.4 thousand likes. Interestingly enough, we don't see a lot of other races doing this weird phenomenon where they promulgate they feel guilty about things that happened hundreds of years ago by people that had no association with them. Let's see here. Got MAGA 1775 saying, quote, the white liberal is the worst enemy to America and the worst enemy to the black man, quote, getting 1.2 thousand likes. Mr. Leadslinger says, quote, self-hating whites are the most pathetic things on the earth, getting 2,000 likes. Let's see here. Suzanne says, quote, he left out quite a few parts. A few off the top of my head. 1. 600,000 Americans died in the Civil War that ended slavery. I wonder how many were white. 2nd, the first slave owner in America was a black man. 3, Africans sold to Africans, that's why it's a slave trade. 4, slavery still exists in other countries that the left defends, but leftists seem to only have a problem when these countries are with the countries that actually ended slavery. 5, the Republican Party was formed as an abolitionist party. Leftists be race-baiting racists, aka charlatans, destroying America. She actually accompanies this with a picture of Thomas Sowell, and he has a quote, and it says, quote, when slavery is mentioned, too many people automatically think of whites enslaving blacks. That's not even 1/10 of the story of slavery, which existed on every inhabited continent. The very word slave derives from the word for some white people who were enslaved on a mass scale. The Slavs, for more centuries than blacks, were enslaved in the Western Hemisphere, unquote. And I got 318 likes. Let's see here. Let's see. Mama Morris or Man Morris says, quote, America's first slave owner documented in colonial North Compton court records in 1654 was a tobacco farmer named Anthony Johnson, a black man. Charlie says, quote, absolutely great, correct post, getting 4 likes. A lot of people saying damn right. Wilson says he must really hate himself. Well, of course he does. Did you see that sweater? I mean, no one wears that sweater and likes themselves. That's almost like a masochist thing to do. I got 7 likes. So as youth might say, this went viral to say the least. Let's see here. Do 1 or 2 more. Based Chef says, quote, a sad truth, and as a mom asking the kid how was school, the kid throws up a rainbow, which, yeah, they teach that in public schools these days. 865 people did like that. Let's see here. Who is this? Wayne Dunlop says, quote, white privilege is a bogus claim, a catch-all excuse for people who refuse to take advantage of the opportunities still available to Americans who want to improve their lot in life. It's much easier to blame others or society rather than look critically at oneself. There's a wall that says U.S. and everyone has nice backpacks. It says, let us in so we can be victims of systematic racism and white supremacy. They had 219 likes. You also have Red Wave Press saying, quote, why do white people hate other white people? This is a big problem in America, followed if you agree, getting 596 likes. Planet of Memes, which I don't want to say F- for marketing, but they responded in text form, not a meme. Planet of Memes says, quote, it's called racism, period. Now resign because you have no reason even being around children with your ridiculous reasoning, getting 876 likes. Florida 1 says, quote, don't go away mad, just go away. You sound like a fool. No wonder other students' brains are mush, getting 517 likes. Old School Eddie says, quote, another self-hating, weak-minded woke man, getting 622 likes. Do 1 more here. Gunther Eagleman says, quote, wonder if he's looked into a mirror lately, getting 483. And Peacemo says, quote, this is racism and has no place in our schools, unquote, getting 223 likes. Which, again, that is, I mean, if you don't have the resource allocation to go to private school, I feel terrible. And I know it's not in everyone's cards, or not everyone has the option to do a private school or homeschool, especially with the government causing 40-year hyperinflation, thanks to people on the left and the right in D.C. printing more money than we've ever printed before. But, geez Louise, I cannot recommend homeschooling enough if you could somehow facilitate that with your family. It seems like every single day there's more and more of these instances brewing to the surface. The teachers are just, not just mentally vacuous, but they're evil. I mean, they're teaching kids to be racist? That's one of the most disgusting things you could possibly do. So let me know Are you still a fan of the public school system? If all things equal, would you send your kid to a private school or even homeschool? As always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. Again, we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.